Hello, everyone, and welcome back, or welcome to Moorditj Education for episode 4. I'm joined here by my main man, Laurence and we're going to be discussing all sorts of things. In this episode, we're going to be looking at and discussing learning from nature. Learning from nature, especially from an Indigenous perspective. That's part of why we're here. We're trying to learn more from Indigenous people, culture, and perspectives. And so, Laurence, well, when I chat with you just casually, I noticed that you often make observations about nature, about the day, about plants, the sky, that I usually don't make. The other day we were looking up at the sky and you pointed out a certain cloud in the shape of a spiral, and you started telling me then all about the life cycle and that. Could you maybe go into that a little bit, and the symbol of the spiral?
Yeah, so the spiral represents the journey. It represents the journey. The journey from one's outer self towards one's inner self.
Yeah.
Or one's inner self back out to one's outer self. It's a very, very, very ancient symbol, and it's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. We see the cycle in plants. We see the cycle in shells. We see the cycle in with the clouds, for example. How things grow.
And we see that symbol often in nature, don't we? The spiral.
Yes.
You were saying shells and plants, and you were pointing out a few things in the garden that had the spiral sort of arrangement. Yeah, so I really want to sort of learn more from you in terms of your knowledge of nature and the land. Now, could you just give a bit of an overview? We've heard it before in the media and the books and that, but from your perspective, can you give a bit of an overview of Indigenous people's connection with the land, and even your connection with the land and nature?
I'll talk about my connection with the land.
Sure.
So my connection with the land is, it's very significant. To really merge yourself into the land and to the environment where we live. It's amazing, and it's important that we connect ourselves and plant our roots back within the earth to understand its cycles, its seasons, its life, and to really build a connection with it. Because we can learn a lot from everything around us if we just pay attention. If we are present enough with it.
Sure. And you've often mentioned that, being present.
Yes.
Which I really, really love. Now, I'm always pushing you for definitions.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's a very Western way. Like we want to know, what does that word mean and what does that phrase mean, and please define it and that sort of thing. But I fully acknowledge that some of the things that you are saying are not really to be expressed in words. They are feelings, they are sensations, they are like knowledges.
Yes.
However, if I could insist, what do you mean when you say merge yourself with the land, or like
Connect yourself.
plant your roots? Yeah, how does one do that? How might a Western person move towards doing that?
Well, I think for anybody in general to understand the grounds where he stands, to understand that the life it provides, and understand that everything comes from the earth, and
Sure.
you know, soon enough everything will go back to the earth. You know, to reconnect yourself. Could just be going for a walk.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
looking up in the sky could be just looking at a plant. It could just be looking at a rock, or
Sure.
looking at a insect or an animal or anything like that. Because if we pay close attention, there are teachings everywhere in our surroundings, everywhere. You know, and I showed you an example of that the other day with the weed that is actually, it grows through the cracks of the concretes, which teaches and shows resilience. It shows no matter what is weighing over it, so holding it down, it continues to grow.
Yeah, I found that really interesting, and just to give our viewers and listeners a bit of context about that, yeah, so just the other day, we were just on a little bit of a break in terms of our official podcast here, and yeah, it was quite amazing, you know, really showed me the quite different perspectives here in the courtyard here. You know, I saw a weed, and my first thought is, pull it out, get rid of it. There's a weed that's growing where it shouldn't be. Your first thought that came to your mind is, look at the resilience of that weed growing through the cracks of the pavers. Yeah. So how do I move closer to like your way of thinking and feeling, so that, you know, if I see weeds in the cracks, you know, and maybe I'm in the city or on a certain day, it can send me a message of resilience. Keep going. Rather than, oh, well, they haven't weeded there. Yeah, how can I, you mentioned that, you know, you should observe more, take the time, pay attention.
Yes.
Yeah, what do
Pay
you do
close
yourself?
surroundings to our surroundings. I like to see the patterns and things. I like to see, you know, see things for what they can become. I like to see things, I like to see past things.
Yep.
You know, to look at things at more depth, to really understand it. You know, because it's teaching me, it's showing me, and it's connecting me.
So you're often looking for the potential in things.
Yes.
And you were saying you like looking at the harsh things, the hard things.
For example, if I had a seed, most people may just chuck that seed in the bin.
Yep.
Or just look at it, oh, it's a seed. When I see a seed, I see what it can become, the potential it can be.
Yep.
If we plant this seed. From the seed, it has a whole journey of a life cycle. And then, depending on the seed, it could produce great fruits just from this seed.
Sure.
I see the seed as a journey. It represents a journey. It represents the journeys of change and resilience, and, you know, going through each cycle. You know, so if we shift our perspective and to see things not just for what they are, but what they can be, what they can become, and you know, the cycle of change within it. You know, because everything is there's a cycle.
Yeah, I want to come back to that, actually, the cycle. But I just want to quickly ask, so, you know, when you know, encounter and experience a day like this, what are you seeing? What are you perceiving? What are you feeling? I mean,
I think I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that I'm seeing, it's
Yeah.
the fact that I'm feeling.
Right.
You know, a day like this, I see the day, yes, of course, but I feel happy. I feel joyful. I feel merged in nature. I feel connected. I feel, you know, the sun radiates off my skin. It, you know, makes me feel happy, and, you know, I feel great emotions through a day like this.
Yeah. So nature is supplying you with that.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Okay.
It's a form of connection You know, we are connected through feeling.
Yep.
We are connected through touch. We are connected through sound. We are connected through vibration. We are connected through everything.
Now, we're talking before about, like, you know, the cycles and life cycles and that sort of thing. And yeah, I mean, we see in nature, you know, the cycle, maybe, you know, a caterpillar and goes into a cocoon and becomes a butterfly and that sort of thing. But I think a lot of Western people, we sort of see our lives as kind of linear, you know, like we're born and we grow up and we grow bigger and we get a job and get married and eventually die and then, you know, leave whatever to the children.
I think in a sense sometimes it's not even Western culture.
Yeah.
It's most people that haven't shifted that mindset, that perspective. You know, you could be cultural, Indigenous, you may not even see it. You know, even being cultural, it still doesn't mean that you've understood it, because some people just haven't learned it.
Yep.
Some people haven't understood it, regardless of being Western or not Western. You know, so I think it's a shift in perspective and just to, you know, as I like to say, being present. You know.
Now, with this, you know, life cycle and death and rebirth, how often is that happening? Like, do you see, like, you know, do we die every minute and we're reborn every minute? Would you share that view? Or?
Well, it's definitely a cycle, you know, the cycle, the process of death and rebirth. You know, where we you know, it could be, we look at a spider, for example.
Yep.
We look at a spider. Spiders are actually, they're masters of change, and they have understood the process of death and rebirth through the process of shedding as well. You know, they shed the old and they birth the new. They have mastered the cycles of change. So what could we learn from that? How could we learn from that, and how could we take that on board to move from the old? Don't forget about it, but learn from it.
Yep.
And to change and to rebirth a newer version. And we do that through, I can do it in 5 minutes. I could.
Now, can you tell that very interesting and inspirational story, which I heard when we were off air, but the spider that you observed.
Yes.
What happened there? Because you know,
So,
you saw a lot of meaning in a certain situation with a certain spider in a certain corner of a room. What was the story? And
so when I was in prison, I was laying on the bed, and I was laying in my bed in my room, and I looked up at the roof, and you know, in the corner there was a daddy longlegs. It was a spider, and I witnessed its change through weeks and, you know, months, and you know, through witnessing that, I just observed its patterns and the cycles of change that it goes through. You know, through shedding the skin. It's a form of death and rebirth, where we shed the old no longer serves, and we are coming out of the old and rebirthing anew. And through that process, that spider constantly moved around the room. It constantly moved. It constantly changed and put itself in different areas, different crevices, and you know, and it constantly shed. It constantly was under a cycle of change because it knew when to change and when to, you know, become a better version.
right, so yeah, so you're saying when this spider shed its skin, it moved to a different crevice in the room.
And it left its old skin behind.
Yeah.
And it moved somewhere else.
And its old context, let's say. Yeah.
Yep.
And you're saying learn a real lesson
100%.
from that. Yeah.
I can see that what can we learn off that?
Yes.
You know, what can we learn off that humble spider?
Yeah.
How can we learn to, you know, die in a sense where nothing no longer serves us?
Yes.
When we have to move on, when we have to change, so we put ourselves in a cycle of death and rebirth, and we put ourselves in those cycles of change. You know, when we have to move because, we can either move with change or we can be left behind with it. Life is constantly changing. We are constantly evolving.
Now, I want to ask you about that, and I know this is a hard-hitting question, but again, off the record, you told me that you died in prison. Now, here you are in the flesh and the blood.
Yes.
So you didn't physically die, so I know that was metaphorically meaning. But what did you mean by that?
Well, you know, through the past self and not really knowing myself and having a lot of issues within myself, you know, mental health and past situations that, you know, I never quite let go of. But just as well not having a stronger sense of self and not knowing or not trying or even venturing to know true self or one's true self. You know, so when I was in prison and, you know, I actually died when I walked through those gates, you know, and then I rebirthed myself through the 2.5 years I was in prison, through the work, through the change, through the shift of perspective and consciousness, through wanting a stronger version of myself, wanting to change and wanting to go through those cycles, wanting to explore and understand the true depth of who I am as an individual and, you know, the man I can truly be, who I can become, not who I am, but who I can become.
Yep.
Who is waiting for me on the other side, that future self.
Yes.
And through doing that work, that hard work was, and I'm still doing it every single day. I haven't done it. I'm continuing to do it. And
Sure.
that will take a lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, constantly changing and wanting to become the best version of myself is a journey. It's a process that will take years. It will take a lifetime. And you know, through everything that I did and through everything that I'm continuing to do within myself, I rebirthed a new self. So I died entering those gates, and I actually come out of those gates a complete different person with a complete different mindset and a shift of perspective and a deeper understanding of one's true self.
Yeah. And you didn't stop at yourself.
No.
Because I'd like to mention that you actually went beyond yourself in terms of then helping others. So you actually wrote a program to help other people in prison, a self-discovery program. This program was eventually accepted within the prison system. You have actually got your own graduates of your program. And I might just break off here to say, if anyone's interested in Lawrence's self-discovery program, just get in touch with Laurence or me or both of us. So I find that just wonderful. You know, you didn't stop at yourself. Like, you know, I'm reborn. I'm all good now. You took it a step further.
I'd like to, sorry for interrupting.
Sorry, no worry. Yeah.
But you know, there's still parts of myself that I'm still working with. There's still parts of self that still has to be worked through. You know, I still have, you know, issues within the mind, as we all do, and I'm still overcoming barriers and challenges, and I'm still working to understand myself, and you know, I'm constantly in that cycle, and but I love the process. I love the process because I'm learning more about myself.
Yeah.
I'm learning more about myself. So in terms of the program, I saw it as it was as an opportunity to take that inner side of discovery and the little bit of work that I've done,
Yes.
and to actually help assist others along that journey as well. Finding and exploring our true self. Not worrying about anything external, but with challenges and overcoming barriers and all that kind of stuff. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah, yeah.
But you have to do the work.
Yes.
You have to do the work, and understood that you cannot change anybody. You cannot change anybody. They must do the work themselves.
Right, yep.
For example, all we can do is give you the clay and give you the tools, but you must sculpt yourself.
Yes.
You must do the work with the tools and the resources and the bit of knowledge that is provided. But it is all good in saying something and helping assist people with it, but if people aren't motivated, or if they don't want to do the work, you can lead a horse to water, you cannot make it drink.
True. And
they must do the work, and that's their journey of change and self-discovery through themselves. I can't go into them and change that. It's their body and it's their mind, and they must do the work themselves.
Yes.
But through that life experience and through how you've done it, hopefully that can impact someone else. So if we have 1,000 people, but we only have 2 people, that's awesome, because our job is, we are doing our job.
Yes.
We are helping people.
And I see this very much reflected in your program. It's not about, I've had a look at your program, and it's not about preaching and instructions, and there's a lot more like even just prompts. It's prompting the person to do the work. Yeah.
I made it very clear when when I did do the program that I'm not a teacher.
Right.
I'm not a teacher. I'm not here to teach you. We're just working with one another.
Yep.
We're teaching each other.
Yep.
We're working through our problems, and we're trying to create solutions and ways of healing and finding ways to find that inner transformation. I'm not here to teach you. I'm not up here as a lecturer or anything. I can't do that. But I can work with you. We can work with each other to go through this progress through this process, with one another.
Yep.
I have learned so much through so many people that I did the program with. They taught me so much about myself that I never knew. They're teaching me as well as I'm teaching them.
Yep.
It's a back and forth thing. We work on a level of respect and genuine and a realistic space.
Yep.
Where there is no judgment, and everyone has the opportunity to express themselves and to be heard. Because a lot of people in life, and I've felt this myself, that feeling of not being heard, that feeling of being judged and being judged for who we are and our background and the things we've done, and not being accepted by society.
Yep.
And through that we suppress ourselves. We're too scared to talk and to express our feelings and emotions because we have been taught that it is not safe to do so. Because we haven't found that safe space to regulate or express these emotions and express our past traumas and express what we're going through as women, as men, as everyone who has experienced it. So to give that opportunity to be able to be who you are and express who you are without fear of judgment in an authentic and a safe space, free of judgment, where we're all equals.
Yep.
No matter what you've been through, what you've done, or it's nothing, because we deserve an opportunity to heal ourselves, and we deserve an opportunity to talk, and we deserve an opportunity. We have to be listened to.
Mm-hmm.
We have to come out of that other side. And if we're never put in those, if we're always, put in an environment or a space where it's not okay to express our emotions and our feelings and express who we are as individuals, it can become toxic, and we go through life scared and shunned and sheltered away, and scared of failing, and scared of what people may think, and scared of judgment, and
Yes.
We don't feel like that what I have to say cares. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who cares what I have to say? It's irrelevant. But you know what? It is so important, because your story, anybody's story, may help someone else through their struggle.
Yeah. And you've used that term quite a number of times. Like we deserve that.
We deserve to be heard. We deserve to heal ourselves, and we deserve to find ourselves. We need that space and those genuine people around us, and
So I'm really understanding that safe space is very important. To be created.
The most important thing that I found as well is being vulnerable. In life, it's where we're told not to be vulnerable, because it's
We've got to be tough.
We've got to be tough, and if we're vulnerable, people take advantage of us. That bullshit.
Yeah.
That fake shit. It's important to become vulnerable, especially when you're working with people that are vulnerable. To have them see that you can be vulnerable, and you can show your emotions, and truly express who you are as a man, as a person, as a human, with human emotions, with human experience, and with a life.
Yep.
To actually show people that it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to go down there, because how can we ever change, heal, and find who we are if we're never vulnerable? If we're always with this masculinity and this
tough guy
image. It is with that image and with that way of being, everything that comes at us, it bounces off of us. Because we're the ego, it creates a force field and a barrier. It rejects it. We're not open-minded, and we're not open to change. We're too scared to become vulnerable, and which suppresses us, and it stops us from moving forward. And when we do want to make change, we can't do that, because we're scared to take the next step, because we've always been told that it's not okay to be vulnerable, and it's not okay to show emotions, and it's a life we live in. We have to be men, and we have to show that masculinity, and we have to just have that image. But you know what?
Be fearless.
Be fearless. But a true fearless person is vulnerable. A true fearless person shows emotions, and a true individual he and she will empower one another to explore that side of themselves, to accept themselves, and to help navigate themselves through that process, and to let them know that they are not alone.
So you're saying that's the true power.
100%.
Being able to empower others.
Empower others. To empower others is very important. We must empower each other.
Helping them to understand that it's okay to have a fault or a defect or a.
It's unique. No one's. We're all different. No one's perfect. We're just unique in our own different ways.
Now, when it's great to have like a safe space, that would be ideal. But what would your advice be to, say, some people who can't get access to that safe space? They're weighed down by the past. they are they are finding it difficult to be reborn because maybe they've condemned themselves. They've said, well, I made that mistake in the past. That's it. I'm done. I'm done in life. There's no coming back for me now. There's no redemption. Because I would wish that everyone could meet you. I would wish that everyone could partake in your program or enter some kind of safe space where they're absolutely made to feel that they deserve, in your words.
Feel like they're heard and
that's
they're
right.
accepted.
What about those hard situations where, someone might be a bit more isolated, they haven't got access to such a good person as yourself or other good people, they're condemning themselves, they're weighed down by the past.
Sometimes we can't reach everybody.
Yeah.
And that's a part of life. But to say to that would be to, reach deeper, look deeper and do the work. Because if you don't have access to these resources or these people, you have that access within yourself. And it may be scary to travel that journey within yourself because that's one of the hardest and most confronting paths to go down.
Yep.
And nobody will teach you. People will teach you that, but it's important that you explore that for yourselves and to start to venture out of that shell and to have the courage to do the work. Some people's situations may be deeper than others. Some traumas may block that process. But if you go down that process, that that self-discovery, that journey within, a lot will come up. So much will come up. But it's important that when these things do come up, we are present with them. We put safety nets around them, and we actually sit with them, we nurture them, and we start to resolve them.
Well, I think that's really great words of hope there, really great words of hope. It's really great to know that if maybe you don't have access to a support person or a support network, you still have the resources within yourself.
100%.
You still have them within yourself. So not all is lost.
Not all is lost.
Not all is lost. So with that, say, the resources within yourself, can that person, so just coming back to nature for a moment, can that person draw on the resources within themselves and maybe go to the land or nature for some extra boost of strength, of wisdom, of what do you think?
I think that when we the life and nature, it's a great healing tool. It's a great healing tool. Just to escape the realms of society and to kind of just be in a place within yourself, in an environment outside of yourself that is quiet, that you don't have to be anybody else. You can just be yourself, and you can, maybe you just want to scream.
Yep.
Maybe you just want to go out into the deepest part of the bush or the highest hill or mountain, and you just want to scream, and you just want to, express yourself where you can't at a backyard next to a neighbour because they might think, what the hell's going on?
What's going on, yeah.
But if you want to truly express who you are and express your emotions and release your anger, the best place to do that is to merge yourself within nature and to be in a safe space, because nature provides that, away from life and the fastness and, the ever-growing process and the progress of society. You know, maybe we just want to escape that realm, and we just want to be at peace. We just want to scream, and we just want to release all our emotions, and we just want to be heard by ourselves. We don't want to worry about who's listening or who's hearing or who's thinking or having to uphold these expectations that society says and the expectations that people expect. You know, we just have to exit life outside. We have to exit, and we have to go outside of that. We have to, you know, connect ourselves back to country, connect ourselves back to the earth, connect ourselves back to, you know, for me, connect myself back to spirit, you know, connect myself back to life, and connect myself back to who I am through country and through nature. Because we can do that. We just have to give ourselves the time. If we want to change, we have to give ourselves the time. We have to invest in ourselves. Because if we are not investing in ourselves and we invest in somebody else or something else, that becomes our life. He or she becomes our life. This work and these things we do in society becomes our life. We forget about our life because we're not fully invested in ourselves. We forget about ourselves within the process of traveling through society. But to bring that back, bring your awareness back to yourself, and to be present with yourself, and to re-immerse yourself, and to reroute yourself back into the land and back into country, and you know, to find yourself through nature. It's important. Because as I like to say that, you know, true success comes within. You know, we have wealth and we have poverty. Some people may see wealth as materialism. Some people may see poverty as people living on the streets. But I see wealth as wealth within, wealth with a healthy mindset, building resilience, knowing who we are, knowing what our weaknesses are, and, you know, turning these weaknesses into our greatest assets, turning them into our strengths, and you know, shifting perspectives and changing consciousness and truly finding that success within. Then we have poverty. People may see poverty as people living on the streets and not having money, but poverty is not knowing who you are. Poverty is not experience that inner transformation. Poverty is lacking that greater side of yourself, that greater version of yourself, because we are not happy within ourselves. So therefore we are poor. We have a poor self because we haven't done the work, and we are so invested in everyone else that we forget to invest in ourselves. So that's true wealth, and that's true poverty.
Thank you, mate. Look, I think that saying is going to go down in history. Poverty is not knowing who you are. But look, I think that is a great note and a great tone to finish on. It links back to how we started here, and which is ironic because we're talking about cycles. And I would like to finish on, you were saying the resources are in yourself if there's no other resources around, and also the nature provides the safe space if there's no kind of maybe human safe space to go into. So there's absolutely hope, and mate, you have delivered it. So thank you a million,
Thank
and
you very much for your
I look
time.
forward to the next one.
Me too.
We'll talk again.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, mate.